Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Max and I make UChicago and college related videos. Now pretty much every college has started school or at least started their orientation process in person because it is pretty much already September. It's like a week until September, and most schools that I know have started at least some sort of in-person process to get the students oriented or to even start the school year already. But UChicago has not done that because we are strange that way. And UChicago has been quite slow with pretty much everything this admission cycle extended to this school year. I applied early decision to UChicago and obviously I did get in, but the decision came out super late. We were told that the decision would come out like middle of December-ish, but apparently the 21st of December, which is the last third of the month, count as the middle of December. So it came out very, very late, and that made a lot of us have to work on our regular decision applications for a lot longer than we would have had to if we just got our acceptances early, all that stuff. It was a very tough time, but hey, UChicago is kind of weird like that sometimes. And pretty much everything has been quite late. We don't even know what classes we're doing yet, even though we've registered for them. We only know one class, which is the humanities class, but everything else we don't know. And 2 days ago, we just got our housing assignments. So while like schools like UPenn and stuff I think they've already have students like living inside the dorms, UChicago has just told us where we're going to live in a month's time. And school starts in pretty much exactly a month, so I think like 27 days. And school starts on September the 21st. So yeah, UChicago starts late. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is to talk about housing. And obviously I just said that we got our housing assignments 2 days ago. And if you're doing school research and you're concentrating sort of on dorms, like what are the living conditions like at like Harvard or like some other school, UChicago's dorms are quite good compared to most other schools' dorms, I would say. When I was doing school research, I didn't concentrate that much on dorms. I figured I could cop a small room if that meant I get a good education, but UChicago dorms are very good when I did research on them, so don't worry about that. If you're coming to UChicago, you'll live in good dorms, even if you're only a first year undergrad. Now, UChicago has, I think, 7 like dorm housing community things, and each dorm has many different houses, which I'm not going to go over. There's like 60 or 70 of them, but basically there's 7 houses and I'm going to try to list them as best I can. I think, okay, let's see. I am living in Woodlawn. So Woodlawn is actually the newest dorm. I think they constructed in like 2020, which is super hype. And there's Max Palevsky or Pavlevsky. I don't remember the name exactly, but that one is also quite good. They're quite famous, and I don't think it's new, but people like it quite a lot because it is quite close to campus. And Snell Hitchcock, which is like the super meme dorm. If you're gonna live in UChicago and you live in Snell Hitchcock, prepare to be memed. Burton Judson, which I don't know anything about. Campus North, which is the one everyone wants to get into because it has a good distance from campus and also it is quite new, so everything is quite modernized. And even just from the outside, it also looks quite modernized. And there's also Rennie something Grossman, hold on. Rennie Granville Grossman, which I don't know anything about, and also International House, which you would assume that international students live there, but obviously no college would ever do that. So it's just called International House because that's the name, so don't get confused. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know everything about these houses, like the dorm cultures or whatever, because first of all, when I did school research, I didn't concentrate that much on dorms, and second of all, we didn't get to choose our dorms anyways. We didn't get to say our preference, like, oh, I want to live in Campus North, because everyone would probably just choose Campus North anyways. But we only got to indicate, like, how messy we were, or like when do we sleep, whether it's late or early, and then indicate our preferences for room types. So there's singles, there's doubles, and there's also apartments and suites. Apartments are basically like you have rooms, but you also have like a shared kitchen or bathroom or something. And singles are obviously one person, and doubles are 2 people. So I wanted a single, and I was very pleasantly surprised when I actually got the single, because if you go on the UChicago Reddit and you search up dorms, everyone on there will tell you that first years do not get singles. But in my own experience, after talking with a lot of people in my year, a lot of people actually got singles. There was actually one guy that got a single even though he didn't want a single. Like, single was his last choice and they gave him a single. So it's kind of strange. But yes, first years do get singles, so don't worry about that. Not everyone's going to get them, obviously, but you do have a solid chance of getting a single. So now I'm quite happy that I got placed into Woodlawn, not only because it's new, but also because the house is the biggest house, I believe. So the most amount of people, like there's a significant plurality that went into Woodlawn compared to all the other houses. And pretty much everyone I know is going to Woodlawn anyways. So that's super hype. And as the newest dorm, you would think that it looks pretty good. And it does, except apparently it has concrete ceilings, which is an interesting aesthetic choice, but I don't really think we're gonna like that very much. But obviously, everything depends on when we actually go live there. So when I do actually move in, I will be doing my vlog and everything, obviously. But for now, we can only look forward to the concrete ceilings. Yeah, I would say compared to like schools like Harvard or Yale, which when I did school research on them, like everyone hated their dorms. I was told that Harvard undergrad dorms are terrible, Yale undergrad dorms are like prison cells, stuff like that. I don't know if these are exaggerations or if they're actually true, but I didn't hear a single bad thing about UChicago dorms. So all I heard was most students say that UChicago actually does the dorms right for a prestigious university. So yeah, I guess I'm quite happy that I got accepted into UChicago because at least I'll get to live somewhere pretty nice. I have actually boarded before in high school, but I only boarded for 1 year. And it was like a 4-people dorm, so I mean, it's a completely different experience. I'm very happy to get a single because I figured there's enough chance to get to know people outside of your dorm, and I would rather have like the privacy of my own room if I ever needed to like record videos or just do some private study by myself. I would be able to have that space and not have to worry about, someone else doing something. So that's quite happy, but obviously not everyone is like that. A lot of people I know wanted doubles. Obviously, I told you about the guy who got a single who wanted a double or like an apartment, but yeah, that's just how it goes. You don't get to choose anything. You only get to indicate your preferences, and you don't even get to indicate the preferences for which building you want to live in. So it's a little bit dodgy, but most people will deal with it because, I mean, there's not that much difference between the dorms except for location from campus, and maybe 1 or 2 of them get memed on more, but it is what it is. Now, Woodlawn, my dorm is actually quite far away from campus, I think. So I think people didn't want to live in International House, which is called iHouse in short, because iHouse, I think, is the furthest away from campus. But Woodlawn apparently is pretty much equidistant from the middle of campus as International House, so pretty far away, I would say. But we do have 10-minute breaks in between each class, and 10 minutes is apparently enough to get to anywhere on UChicago, so we should be okay. And I'm honestly, I don't mind like exploring the campus a little bit in the first couple of weeks if the dorms are a little bit far away. I'm actually fine with that. And since there's a big community there, because Woodlawn is the biggest dorms, then you get to meet the most people and make more friends, which is super hype. So yeah, if dorms are a big concern for you when you're applying to college, then rest assured UChicago has pretty good dorms. And by the way, living in dorms is mandatory for 2 years, and obviously you also do have to pay the money even though it's mandatory. But apart from that, the dorms are quite nice. They should be quite nice anyways, and I look forward to seeing everyone there. Now also, the super good news is we will actually get to live in these dorms because UChicago has confirmed that everything will be in person in the next school year, or at least that's what they're planning to do. So I'm pretty sure nothing is going to change because, I mean, the pandemic situation is not as bad as it was before, at least in Chicago. I know in Florida or like Texas or something, they're pretty bad, but hey, your governors suck and ours doesn't suck as much, so sorry. But yeah, we will get to live in the dorms. I think if I had to do online uni for my first university year, or even for any university year, I would have just taken a gap year, like no doubt. I don't know what I would have done. I don't really have anything specific in mind because I mean, I've never really thought about it, but I would have found something to do and not take online classes every day because that sounds dreadful. I had to suffer through 2 terms of online school in my last year of high school, which is obviously the most important year because we had like all the exams and stuff, and that was terrible. I didn't get any productive thing done, and I didn't do as well as I hoped I would. So yeah, online school is a no-no, and I would have just taken a gap year straight up. And I think a lot of other students would have as well. So yeah, if you can afford to take a gap year and your school's not in person, then I would suggest doing it because there's no point in going to college when it's online. A lot of my friends here in Australia are actually suffering through, actually all of my friends are suffering online school right now because Melbourne is in lockdown, Sydney is in lockdown, pretty much every state is in lockdown except for like Northern Territory and Tasmania, and no one actually goes there. So yeah, they're just suffering through online school and online classes. And look, did one semester at Melbourne Uni because obviously I needed something to fill my time before I went to UChicago. So for the first half of the year, I was in Melbourne Uni doing like a creative writing course and one other class. And the creative writing course, I was specifically looking to be in person, so I chose the in-person class. They had like a mix of like class. If you want to be in online, then you could choose online, but if you wanted to be in person, you could also choose in person. A lot of people chose online. I don't really get why, but I chose in person. Then that class was super fun. I learned a lot and met a lot of cool people. But the other class was completely online, and let me just tell you, the experience was terrible. Maybe it's just the Melbourne Uni thing, but Melbourne Uni is supposed to be the best school in Australia, so I'm assuming that if the best school in Australia couldn't manage to get their online classes working very well, then pretty much no school is going to be able to get their online classes working very well. And basically, our teacher sort of didn't really know how to work the technology. He had a wonky internet connection. Some of my classmates had wonky internet connections, so half the class was just the teacher spending like 10, 15 minutes calling on her name and trying to get her to respond, but she couldn't because her internet is bad because she's in Beijing and she has to like go through a bunch of firewalls to connect. It's very sad, okay? It's very sad and it's also very terrible, and I didn't learn anything from the class, to be honest. I don't think I watched a single lecture. No, I did watch one lecture. I watched the first lecture, but the assignments that we did weren't even related to the lectures, so I mean, it was just a complete shit show, and I would not recommend anybody to suffer through that again. Unless you have to, obviously, unless you have to. But yeah, we will be in person in UChicago. We will be living in the dorms, and we will be actually seeing other people's faces one-on-one instead of through FaceTime or Zoom calls or Discord screen share. So yeah, I'm quite happy about that, and I'm sure pretty much everyone is. And I think everyone's going to be vaccinated because the university has a vaccination requirement. So I'm not too worried about the pandemic situation. I'm super happy that I'm going to be able to explore Chicago and go to my classes in person with friends I'm going to make and have already made. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that's it for this video. Just not a really content-heavy one, just telling you about housing in Chicago and sort of some other random stuff. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, then you can go check out my other videos, which might be a little bit more content heavy because I've made one about how I got into Chicago, like the stereotypical stats and essays and activities thing. And I've also made a couple of SAT videos, so if you want to check that out, then you can. But yeah, that's it from me for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.